September 11th, 2001, the day America wept. Two months later, it seemed to be happening all over again.
The engine fall down and the belly fall. The piston left side and make it straight all the way down.
United States, New York, Queens, November 12, 2001. 6:30 a.m. JFK Airport is on high alert. The atrocity of 9/11 is still fresh in the minds of Americans. And for everyone in the airline industry, security is a major concern. On the tarmac, the crew of American Airlines Flight 587 prepare for a 3.5-hour flight to the Dominican Republic. Captain Ed States, the senior pilot, and his first officer, Sten Molen, carefully check the exterior of their aircraft. The son of a pilot, Molen has 10 years' experience in the company, joining American Airlines at the age of just 24. Like his father before him, Sten sees it as much more than a job.
If he wasn't a pilot, he doesn't know what he would be doing because it was that important. He loved his job.
Traveling to the Dominican Republic this morning are 251 passengers. At 7 a.m., Ed States and Sten Molen begin pre-flight checks. The aeroplane is an Airbus A300-605R, capable of carrying up to 266 people. Built in Europe some 13 years ago, it is one of the oldest in the American Airlines fleet and has racked up over 37,000 hours of flying time. Nevertheless, the Airbus is recognized as one of the most reliable airliners in service. Today, though, that reliability has been undermined by the stringent new security measures. Every passenger is searched twice before boarding is allowed, and the scheduled takeoff time of 8:40 begins to slip. By 9 a.m., all 251 passengers are on board.
I'll program the computer.
Pre-flight checks are complete.
Clear right. Clear left.
And Flight 587 begins to taxi to runway 31L. It's a fine day, and Sten Molen, the co-pilot, will fly the plane on the first leg. 9:11 a.m. A Japanese Airlines 747 immediately in front of 587 is cleared for takeoff. The controller gives Molen and States a routine caution. He tells them there's a risk of air turbulence from the Japanese plane ahead.
Clear for takeoff. American 587 Heavy.
Captain States knows that he must keep a safe distance between himself and the Japanese airliner. Every plane creates a wake of turbulent air as it takes off, which can affect following flights.
You happy with that distance? We'll be all right once we get rolling. So you're happy?
Their flight path will take them across Jamaica Bay and over the Rockaway Peninsula in the borough of Queens. It's a popular residential area, especially with New York's fire and police departments. Today is Veterans Day, a public holiday. 9:14, Sten Molen starts the takeoff run.
Rotate.
9:14 and 9 seconds.
D2.
Flight 587 lifts off.
Positive rate. Gear up, please.
9:15. Flight 587 is now at 1,700 feet. The departure controller gives them a navigation fix.
New York, American 587, heavy turn left, direct wavy.
We'll turn direct wavy. American 587 Heavy.
1 second later, the plane begins to shake. The pilots know the turbulence is likely to have come from the Japan Airlines Jumbo up ahead. It's a routine hazard, and Molen flies through it.
250, thank you.
The captain increases the speed of the plane to 250 knots, the maximum allowable at that height. But seconds later, the plane hits more turbulence. Sten Molen takes decisive action. Using his foot controls, he applies the rudder first to the right and then to the left to try and stabilize the plane.
Back power!
Again, Molen asks for more power to keep the aircraft under control.
You all right? Yeah, I'm fine. Hang on to it. Hang on to it. Full power, please. Holy!
Less than 2 minutes into their journey, Flight 587 is in deep trouble. The lives of 260 people in the air and many more below are in mortal danger. Far below, 53-year-old Pete Hayden, Deputy Chief of the New York Fire Department, is taking his first day off since September 11th. His attention is drawn to a plane making an unusual straining noise.
It's struggling. I look up. It's lower in the sky than normal. I'm watching it, and the plane suddenly begins to break apart.
Holy!
I see the back part of the plane behind the left wing break open. Smoke and flames come out.
As the plane spins out of control, the engines shear off. Mark Shaw, still trying to wake his son, also hears the plane.
And I think that it sounds just like the Concorde.
Come on, Jason. I know you have a doctor's appointment today. Come on, get up.
The house starts to shake. Pete Hayden watches in disbelief. At 9:16 and 15 seconds, Flight 587 slams into the ground. At 9:30 a.m., a pilot who has seen the crash alerts air traffic control at JFK.
Yeah, look out to the south of the aircraft crashing.
Say again?
An aircraft just crashed to the south of the field.
An aircraft crashed south of the field?
Aircraft fireball.
Controllers see a black pall of smoke over the suburb of Rockaway. On the ground, an amateur cameraman captures the horrifying scene.
Plane crashed. Where? Into the houses.
Houses are crushed and burning. Aircraft parts are everywhere. The whole neighborhood seems to be under attack. One of the first at the scene is Deputy Fire Chief Pete Hayden.
There are bodies everywhere. All over the streets, in the yards. Some victims still strapped into the seats of the airplane.
As the full scale of what has happened becomes apparent, residents are in a state of shock.
The engine fall down and the belly fall. The piston left side and make it straight all the way down.
From across New York, emergency services race to Rockaway. Hundreds of firefighters from across the city are now fighting the blaze. Mayor Giuliani arrives to see the damage for himself.
We'll do everything we can to help these people, everything. And the president is on top of it. They're alert. They're watching everything else all over the country, so I think people should remain absolutely calm.
But New Yorkers believe they are being attacked again. The city is in meltdown. The Empire State Building is evacuated. The United Nations is in partial lockdown. Airports are closed, and all civil aircraft are grounded. Armed F-15 Eagles scramble, and other jets are on strip alert around the country. Tunnels and bridges are closed. The city is gridlocked. Americans fear their worst nightmare is unfolding once more. America is gripped by the terrible images coming from the once quiet borough of Queens. A renewed terrorist attack appears to have brought down yet another plane onto unsuspecting New Yorkers.
My first thought was that it was another terrorist event, that a bomb had gone off on the plane.
More and more people, desperate for information, arrive at the scene of the tragedy. Among them, Hector Algaroba. He believes his parents were on the plane, but is praying for a miracle.
The hope was somehow all the smoke and all the fire that I'm seeing is from some sort of impact of the plane trying to land. And there has been a lot of people that survive. I'm trying to cling to whatever hope, because the last thing a human being loses in life is hope.
In the middle of the carnage, Lois Shaw is still looking for her family.
I'm running to see if Jason is alive, and I feel unreal. All I see ahead of me is smoke. I can't see anything.
Jason, answer me! Mark!
Then, Lois Shaw hears the shout she's longing for.
And I looked, and that's when I saw Jason and Mark.
Lois! Lois, we're over here!
Once I saw him alive, at that moment, that was all that I really cared about. Nothing else really mattered.
Oh my God, are you okay? Oh, Jason!
Jason and his father are alive and well. They got out of the house with seconds to spare.
Oh my God, thank God! Oh, thank God, you're okay.
Give her a big hug. She was just crying. That's when and then she was like, "What? Are you okay? Are you okay?" I was like, I didn't really have any emotions. It was just good to be together.
Stan Molin, father of the co-pilot, gets a phone call with devastating news.
Told him that call came in, you can sort of, hope that it was a different airplane. But that was the oh no, this can't be moment.
In the Dominican Republic, relatives expecting a family reunion at the Santo Domingo airport are suddenly confronted with an appalling reality. Their loved ones are dead. Hector cannot leave until he knows what has happened to his parents. He waits, hoping desperately. With the fire under control, the body count and identification of victims is underway. Mayor Giuliani holds a press conference.
We have so far recovered 132 bodies. And as the governor said, there were 255 people and crew members that were listed on the manifest. And I want to again express my sympathy and condolences to everyone involved.
After the announcement, Giuliani meets the bereaved families and personally gives Hector the news he is dreading.
He hugged me and gave me his condolences by telling me that my parents were on that flight.
Both engines landed 245 meters before the plane. One fell onto a house, the other on a service station. The location of the two engines relative to the main crash site could provide an important clue. By plotting exactly where debris has landed, investigators should be able to determine the breakup sequence. The debris is scattered everywhere. Police and army boats are called in to gather parts from Jamaica Bay. Then, Benson personally witnesses a major discovery as he drives along the coast road. A crane is lifting the tail fin from the water. The fin was found floating in the water 1.2 kilometers behind the main crash site. For the investigators, this is clear evidence that it must have been one of the first parts to break away. As the team begin to examine the tail fin, the FBI start looking for any trace of explosives. Benson has no time to lose. His team know the entire nation from the president down are waiting for answers. FBI forensic experts are searching for evidence of a bomb. They are also hoping to find two other key pieces of evidence, the plane's black boxes. The cockpit voice recorder should have recorded everything that was said by the pilots. The flight data recorder could tell them exactly how the plane performed throughout the flight. But just hours into the search comes an amazing stroke of luck. Marion Blakey, spokeswoman for the NTSB, makes an announcement.
We have recovered the cockpit voice recorder.
By now, there is a frenzy of speculation over the incident. Terrorism is foremost in people's minds. But for Benson and the NTSB, the lack of any corroborating evidence to support the theory is troubling. There is no sign of suspicious activity at the airport, and no group has stepped forward to claim responsibility for the crash. They take a calculated risk and announce that even at this early stage, they believe this was not a deliberate act. For Benson and his team, the pressure is mounting. Finding the cockpit voice recorder is a huge step forward. With one of the black boxes and the tail fin in his possession, hopes are high they will be able to piece together the reasons behind the crash. Although the recorder is damaged, the tape is still intact and is rushed to NTSB headquarters in Washington. Away from the glare of the media, investigators start to analyze the chilling final moments of the flight.
Let's go for power, please.
Every word, every sound is carefully analyzed. 89 seconds into the flight comes a chilling sound on the tape. There is a loud bang. Immediately afterwards, the crew can be heard struggling with the controls.
You all right? Yeah, I'm fine. Hang on to it. Hang on to it.
Could this bang be the sound of an explosion? Perhaps there was a bomb after all. With the second black box, the flight data recorder still missing in the smoking wreckage, Benson knows that the truth will be hard to find.
Without that, it makes telling the story more speculative and more difficult.
A pair of security cameras on the Triborough Bridge have captured the last moments of the aircraft. These tapes could hold the key to the disaster. In the grainy footage, the Airbus can just be seen as a black dot. On one camera, the dot disappears behind a building. Then the second camera picks it up. It shows what could be a crucial moment. A faint white streak just visible, trailing behind the aircraft. Is this the explosion seen by so many eyewitnesses? Is this the cause of the sound, after which the pilot lost control? This could be hard evidence to prove that there was a bomb, after all. The only way to find out is to compare the time. If the white streak happened at the same time as the bang captured by the voice recorder, the two are likely to be the same event. Investigators visit the site of the toll booth cameras. Using buildings as reference points, they work out exactly where and when the streak occurred. The results back up their theory that this was not a bomb.
We can see that the streak began 8 seconds after the initiating accident sequence.
The calculations show the streak occurred after the bang on the recorder. The flash is probably fuel escaping as the plane breaks up. This can't be the start of the accident, although it could be the reason so many people thought they saw an explosion. Then, back at the crash site, comes a dramatic development. Investigators get the news they have been desperate to hear. Searchers have recovered the flight data recorder. But the relief is short-lived. The black box is damaged. The NTSB sent it back to the manufacturers to see what, if anything, can be retrieved. The first thing investigators notice is that the fin is built from a high-tech material called reinforced carbon fiber composite. Often used in racing cars and sports equipment, composites consist of layers of carbon fibers bound tightly together with resin. The A300-600 was one of the earliest civil aircraft to feature this high-strength material, and it's used in many areas of the plane. But when investigators look closely, immediately alarm bells begin to ring. There are 6 main attaching points connecting the tail to the fuselage. All 6 have given way. There has never been a plane crash caused by a composite failure, but Benson can rule nothing out.
You have to imagine a force large enough to break 6 attaching points made out of one of the strongest materials in the world. 6 of these holding the vertical stabilizer on, and all of them broke. So the forces had to be just tremendous.
The detail of the failure is what worries the team. The damage shows that the metal lugs and the bolts remained intact, but the composite lugs all gave way. Benson has to consider the appalling prospect that the composite material itself may be faulty. With 240 similar planes still in service, and thousands more using similar technology, it would have huge implications throughout the aviation industry.
There's something that the composite creators or designers missed 25 years ago that's now just starting to rear its ugly head. That's bad news for a lot of airplanes that are already flying.
Proving that the carbon fiber is to blame will need hard physical evidence. Using scanning electron microscopes, experts check over 3,000 square centimeters of surface, magnifying the material by up to 5,000 times as they search for any imperfection. It's a painstakingly slow process, and the pressure is building on Benson and his team all the time.
It keeps you awake at night. You've got a lot riding on these things, and the eyes of the world initially, and then later on the eyes at least of the aviation industry are on us.
The pressure is also growing on Airbus. Is the design of their aircraft at fault? Has there been an error during assembly? They scrutinize every lug, bolt, and fitting on the tail, including the vertical stabilizer, as it is called. They can find nothing wrong with the aircraft or the materials used to build it. While the news is welcome, it only serves to deepen the mystery.
Although we were relieved in that aspect, we knew we had a long row ahead of us because we still had no idea why the vertical stabilizer really came off.
Then, just as the investigation seems to have stalled, comes a vital turning point. Information from the damaged flight data recorder has at last been retrieved.
I was very, very relieved.
But no one is prepared for the startling picture that the flight data recorder will give. The focus of the entire investigation suddenly shifts from the machine to the man flying it, co-pilot Sten Molen. 83 seconds after takeoff, the recorder shows that Molen applied 5 extreme movements of the rudder, causing the plane to lurch violently from side to side. The plane slips sideways to its direction of travel, first one way and then the other.
I've looked at a lot of flight data readouts in my time. I've never, ever seen that particular type of activity occur.
They realized that traveling at nearly 470 kilometers per hour, the aerodynamic stresses on the 130-ton Airbus would have been extraordinary.
They were virtually unprecedented to us. We were amazed.
It seems as though on the 5th movement of the rudder, the entire tail fin broke off. The implication is extraordinary. Simply by manipulating the controls, the pilot broke the aircraft. American Airlines are also amazed at the news.
Even the very experienced pilots at American Airlines, they were floored by this information.
The NTSB is so concerned, they take immediate action. On February 8th, 2002, they issue a special warning to all pilots of this new danger. But the board have yet to prove that the tail came off simply due to aerodynamic forces. Many pilots doubt that such a thing is possible. The only way to be sure is to run detailed computer simulations, a process which could take months to perform. If the theory is right, then the idea that a terrorist plot must be behind the tragedy can finally be laid to rest. Benzon now faces a new and disturbing mystery. Why did the pilot act in this way?
The focus of the investigation turned to the first officer and why he would manipulate the rudder as he did.
Benzon knows the rudder is seldom used in flight. It's a powerful steering aid designed to correct the course of an aircraft in certain specific situations. Landing in a crosswind would be one. Steering the plane with only one engine, another. But at high speed, the pilot would not normally use the rudder at all. Benzon sets up a special team to look into the performance of the man flying the plane, Sten Molen. They speak to American airline pilots who have flown with him. It's a sensitive business. As they look into Sten Molen's past and start to talk with his friends and colleagues, what they discover will prove to be deeply disturbing and highly controversial. The final twist in the investigation of Flight 587 will shake the aviation industry to its core. It's a region of spinning air left behind as a plane passes. These vortices can sometimes turn a following plane upside down. But the team quickly realized that this cannot be the cause of the crash. The turbulence was not strong enough to seriously affect a plane the size of the Airbus.
The bigger the airplane, the less effect wake turbulence has on it. A300 is a pretty big airplane.
Then comes evidence which changes everything. The investigation team interview Molen's friends and colleagues, and they discover a vital piece of information. A pilot and former colleague recalls an earlier trip with Molen. During an encounter with turbulence, he used the rudder aggressively, even though there was no apparent risk to the plane. The evidence is conclusive. Molen had reacted in the same way before.
When those pilots came forward and told us about the first officer's propensity to overreact on the rudders, that was a eureka moment for us.
If this is true, it raises serious concerns for Benzon and the team.
One would assume that if many pilots go through the same training program with some flaws in it, then a lot of pilots have wrong ideas about how to fly an airplane.
With 712 planes in service with American Airlines, Benzon must quickly establish where the truth lies. The airline confirms one of their programs does indeed teach pilots to use the rudder to recover from unusual situations, as seen in this training video.
And if you don't put that rudder in, what's going to happen? When you get to this portion of the roll, she's going to slice out just like that.
Next, Benzon looks at the other tools used to train the pilots, particularly the high-tech flight simulators. Here, pilots are taught to react to a range of emergencies, including wake turbulence. In one of those scenarios, Benzon discovers that the pilots learned to use the rudder very aggressively. The flight simulator program had even been altered to encourage the use of the rudder, particularly when the plane was banking to the right or the left. Airbus themselves had already written to the airline saying this practice was a cause for concern.
The classroom work told pilots that it was permissible to use the rudder to escape from unusual attitude situations, and perhaps more importantly in the simulator, they were taught to use the rudder very, very aggressively to recover from unusual attitudes.
The finding causes controversy. At a public hearing, American Airlines claimed that Airbus had not explained there were limits to the use of the rudder.
I didn't know you couldn't do that. You couldn't do what? Be aggressive with the controls.
The airline also claims that the rudder system on the aircraft was very sensitive, and that pilots might not be aware how much rudder they were really applying. The NTSB investigate and discover the rudder control system is highly sensitive. What's more, the controls of the plane become more sensitive as the plane increases speed. On the ground, the rudder pedal has to be depressed by 10 centimeters to get maximum deflection. But when flying at high speed, that distance reduces to just 4 centimeters. NTSB officials are shocked to find that this system is not explained in training manuals.
There was an apparent gap between what the manufacturers knew about the rudder sensitivity of the airplane and what was filtering down to the folks that actually flew them.
Then finally come the results from the analysis of Molin's 5 rudder inputs. They confirm what nobody really wants to believe, that it's indeed possible to tear the tail fin from an aircraft in flight by stamping violently on the foot pedals. Now Benson and the team can see exactly what happened to Flight 587. Step by step, they have pieced together the key events that led to the tragedy. 2 minutes to disaster, Flight 587 takes off.
Positive rate, gear up, please.
One minute to disaster, 587 encounters turbulence for the first time. Sten Molen flies through it. 30 seconds to disaster, 587 hits a second, larger wave of turbulence. The plane is now banking to the left, reminding Molen of his simulator training.
Rudder movement!
Not realizing how sensitive the rudder system becomes in flight, Molen stamps on the pedal, causing maximum rudder deflection. The plane swings violently to the right, placing enormous loads on the tail fin. Investigators believe that an astonished Molen thinks that the plane is reacting to the wake turbulence. He doesn't realize that his own use of the rudder causes the violent movement. Molen immediately slams the rudder pedal into the opposite position. The plane now swings violently back to the left, placing another enormous load on the tail. Both Molen and States believe the plane is somehow caught in the turbulence.
What the hell are we into? I'm stuck in it! Get out of it!
And in a desperate attempt to get control, Molen applies another rudder input, this time to the right. Now, thoroughly disorientated, Molen again applies full rudder. 587 is now on the brink of disaster. Finally, on the 5th rudder input, all 6 lugs connecting the tail to the fuselage tear apart. The plane is now doomed. Terrified passengers and crew can have no idea what is happening. Huge G-forces rip both engines away. 106 seconds after takeoff, Flight 587 falls from the sky. 265 people are dead. Important lessons have been learned from the tragedy. Airbus have issued a bulletin reminding pilots how to use the rudder, and American Airlines have modified their training program. Together with the NTSB, the aviation industry has moved to ensure that such a terrible accident will never happen again.